Alrighty, guys, we are in the post-Superman era. Can you guys believe it? It's crazy. It's crazy. And with the post-Superman era, as we look forward to Comic-Con, because I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more clarity about what the future of the DCU, James Gunn's new DCU, holds. I'm sure we'll get, at least, I don't know if James Gunn will do that whole Kevin Feige get on stage and reveal every single project coming out for the next 5 years. I don't know. Maybe. We have a pretty good idea. Next year, looks like we're getting Lanterns as an HBO show. Looks like we're getting Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, or just Supergirl now, and Clayface. And I think that's about it for the live-action projects. And so we'll look forward to what comes next. Sergeant Rock, eventually, Batman Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, and there's a Bane and Deathstroke movie. So lots of interesting things in the pipeline, as well as all those projects floating around like Swamp Thing and Paradise Lost and the Wonder Woman movie. So lots of things, even if they're not coming out in the immediate future, a lot of things to get excited about. And we have now a Wall Street Journal article that claims to have some interesting information. I don't think a lot of it is surprising per se, but just some clarity perhaps. This is not coming from James Gunn's mouth directly. It's coming from the Wall Street Journal, but still, it's an interesting article, and Wall Street Journal in this instance is perhaps more, it's in maybe a little bit more in line with the Hollywood Reporters or the Deadlines or Varieties of, you want to pay attention to these bigger publications, and it's not the same as a leak or a scooper, but it's still just a report, and so we'll wait to see if James Gunn will clarify any of that. So I'm reading here actually from I think this is Total Film. Total Film is quoting the Wall Street Journal article, and they just have some analysis and some takeaways from it. So I'm just going to read from this article here. Quote, per a news report by the Wall Street Journal, Gunn and Safran are aiming to release 1 animated and 2 live-action movies per year, along with multiple TV shows. I think what the article said, I read somewhere else, was 2 live-action shows and 1 animated show as well, I think. Could be wrong about that, but, that's in the ballpark. Continuing on with this quote. Their ultimate goal, according to the publication, is to eventually, this is quoting from the article directly, reestablish all the company's best-known characters, including Batman and Wonder Woman, and unite them in a new Justice League film. And so then they go on to talk about Superman, whatnot. And then later on in the article, I believe that they talk about the idea that they might even be interested in doing a Mr. Terrific and not together, but 2 separate spin-off shows of Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen from Superman. So that's interesting. Again, we're not going to talk about spoilers for Superman in this particular segment, so don't worry if you haven't checked it out yet. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, right? If this is the strategy. I mean, first of all, it's sort of a no-duh kind of moment of, oh yes, of course, you want to reestablish all the characters and put them in a Justice League film. That seems fairly obvious. I think we could have all guessed that to a certain extent. Whether or not they were going to do a traditional Justice League movie or whatnot, I think it was pretty clear that they weren't going to be too unconventional at first. I mean, James Gunn is indeed starting out his new universe with Superman, so you can kind of tell that it's pretty important to him. He also said, we're doing Wonder Woman. He's been talking about Brave and the Bold. So yeah, it's pretty clear to me that Justice League is the priority. In terms of the sheer amount of projects, so 2 live-action movies and 1 animated movie, I don't know, because what James Gunn said, I actually just rewatched the original announcement that he made in 2023, I believe January 2023, and in that announcement, he said that all mediums, so animation, movies, TV shows, live action, animated, unless specific, and he even included games in there, by the way, unless specifically designated as otherwise, will be a part of this same continuity. And if it's not part of that same continuity, it will be delineated as Elseworlds. And so I'm assuming these animated films that'll be released, which I think Dynamic Duo is one of them that's going to be coming out, will be part of this DCU timeline. And we'll have to see, we'll have to see how that works. But in terms of sheer amount of content, I think it works, right? It'll, I don't think it's overloaded. It's not like they're saying we're going to release 5 movies a year and 5 shows like Marvel did in 2021, for example. It was a lot, for sure. But it is still a lot of content, right? If you think about 2 live action shows and 2 movies, even just that alone, I think is probably the upper limit of what I would want to see from DC, just starting out their universe at the very least. And to me, I've always had the question, because Marvel, to me, one of the interesting things about Marvel right now, and one of the questions I continue to have is, how are you going to handle your TV shows in light of the fact that it seems like, I mean, it's just statistically, not everybody goes to watch the TV shows and then is confused when these TV characters show up in the movies. And so I'm just curious to see how James Gunn will handle it, because there already is going to be overlap. Guy Gardner, who was in Superman, is going to be in Lanterns, right? So there is going to be some level of crossover. And the question is, how well our audience is going to respond to that? How well is that going to work out? I don't know. Right now, it seems like all of these characters are sort of in different corners of the universes. And so so we'll see if there's a way to make it so that audiences really grasp onto all of these different aspects, because it will become a little bit hard when all these projects are very disparate and in different mediums to see how audiences respond and if they will. Because imagine if you had an animated dynamic duo film and a live action show of Lanterns and Supergirl and Swamp Thing and Superman, and all these projects are individually really well liked, but then you put them all together in a film. And you have an animated Blue Beetle film as well, and you throw him in there, which is he's played by Jolo Mardueña, who was also the Blue Beetle from the DCEU. So you throw all of them in the movie, and people are like, "Wait, that guy was from the DCEU," or not? They probably won't call it the DCEU if they're not paying attention to DC as closely as we are. But hey, that guy was from the same universe that the Suicide Squad was in. If they're talking about Peacemaker, but he's here again. Hey, wait a second. Wasn't there that animated film with Robin in it? Is this the same guy? So that's really my biggest question moving forward with the DCU, and we'll just have to see. Time will tell how James Gunn will handle it. But guys, what do you think about this report? 2 live-action movies, 1 animated movie, 2 live-action shows, we think, and 1 animated show per year. We'll see how that turns out. Let me know in the comments down below.